Hello everyone, this video is a bit different. I was thinking about how every time I enter a new zone for the first time while leveling in Classic, I already know which mobs I'm looking forward to encounter and which ones I absolutely do not, and everything in between. So I figured, why not make a tier list? That sounds fun to me, so I will. I will start with the starting areas, and the first one is Elwynn Forest. These mobs are about as basic as they get, since it's a starting area, but even here there are particularities about the mobs, something about them that makes me like some of them and hate others. I will kinda go over them in the order you are most likely to see them while you play the game, normally, kind of. So the first one is the Timber Wolf. The first mob you will ever see in World of Warcraft if your character is a human. And since human was the most popular race in vanilla, this is the first mob most people saw when the game first came out. It is so iconic. The memes about MMORPG quests being all about killing wolves, every MMO actually having at least one quest about killing wolves at the start of it, it's all basically coming from this. They are basic as hell, they barely deal any damage and die in like 4 basic attacks, no abilities, but for how iconic they are, I need to give them an S tier spot. Then you have the Kobold Vermin. I will put this one in A. It did not spawn a tradition in the MMO genre, and it's not literally the first mob you see. It also has no abilities or anything special that it does, but it tells you something right off the bat, and that is that this is not a generic medieval game. It tells you that World of Warcraft is an interesting game with an interesting world to explore simply because of their design. These are rat-looking people with backpacks on their back and a burning candle on their head, all melting over their ears and eyes as it burns, with their silly sound effects. You know take candle! They're just so goddamn iconic, I have to give them A tier. Same thing goes for the Kobold Worker, A tier as well. But the next one, the Kobold Laborer, I will put him in S tier, right below the wolf, because he has all the good stuff the other kobolds have as well, seeing them for the first time and all of that, but he has one thing beyond that. He has the highest drop rate of 6 slot bags out of all the enemies you will encounter in Northshire Abbey. I think he has the highest drop rate out of all the enemies you will encounter in all of Elwynn Forest, but I'm not 100% sure on that. There is one mob like that in every starting zone. For undeads, for example, it's the higher level spiders in the cave. Anyway, because of this, I sometimes just get to level 2 or 3 and I just kill these all the way to level 6.5. And I usually leave the area in about the same time as if I were doing the normal quests, but sometimes, with a bit of luck, I also get to leave the area with 3, maybe even 4 6 slot bags. It can be really useful. I am always looking forward to fighting them for that, hoping to see a bag. For this, for that excitement, I put them in the S tier. Then we have the Defias Thug, D tier. Why? First of all, they are boring. They are just human bandits, and at this early point you don't know about the Defias Brotherhood lore, but being boring and standard thieves would probably land them in C or B, right? But they are hostile, and you have a quest where you must collect stuff around them. All the starting zones have that quest. It's basically the interactable object tutorial quest. But in no other zone are there annoying mobs that will aggro when you do this. The orcs have the cactus apple quest, for example. The undead have to collect the boxes around the destroyed homes. The night elf the plants and so on. The humans have all their objects surrounded by hostile enemies, and it's so annoying to click an object and have 2 mobs aggro towards you. And since that always happens with these, they will go into D tier. After that, you'd finally leave Northshire Abbey and leave for the forest, for the Elwynn Forest. The first mob you are probably gonna see is the Mangy Wolf. And when I rank the Mangy Wolf, I actually rank all the wolves in the forest from this point onwards, because there are like 3 variations and they are all basically the same, and they are quite boring and they don't do anything special, none of them. They are quite boring at this point, but they do have one thing going for them: they are great for leveling cooking. Getting your stringy wolf meat is how you get the first buff food, the 2 stamina 2 spirit buff. For that, I usually look forward to killing some of them, so I'll put them in B tier. Then we have the Stone Tusk Boar. Again, they don't have anything interesting about them, they don't drop anything useful. I ignore them after I get the 4 pieces of meat from them for the quest, but I will put them in B tier because of how iconic they are, you know, the South Park episode and all of that. So yeah. Then we have the other kobolds you encounter. I will put the kobold tunneler and the miner in A tier. Again, they are cool, they are kobolds, but you already saw them for a bit at this point, you know? They don't have any interesting abilities to watch out for, but they do have a few cool things going for them. First of all, I think these mobs are the mobs with the most first bloods in all of Azeroth.
Human-sized rats with beards chasing me through a dark mineshaft. I cannot help you, champion. What? But it's a ghost driver.
Yeah, that's it.
Again, because humans were the most popular and the fact that these are in a cave is why a lot of people got their first meeting with a spirit healer because of these kobolds. If you ever played hardcore, you know how tricky caves can be. They also drop some cool shit. The kobold mining mallet, the mining shovel, the practice sword, the pallet rifle and so on are probably gonna be the first mob dropped upgrades you will encounter. They also drop the first healing potions and are the first mobs that will start dropping linen cloth. For these reasons, I like them quite a lot, so A tier. But there is another, the Kobold Geomancer, the highest level kobold you will encounter in Elwynn Forest. He's gonna go straight into S tier simply because of one of the things he drops, the magic candle. On use, it sends a fiery ball that causes 26 fire damage and some extra damage over time to your target. First of all, that is just a cool item to have no matter what, especially for a melee class, but what you don't realize at that level is that paladin tanks, the whole 3 of them that existed during vanilla, had to farm these to have a way to range pull, since they cannot use ranged weapons like guns or bows. The fact that some level 60 characters had a legit reason to come back and farm these makes me put them in S tier. Going back a few levels, we have the forest spider, which is meh. Alright, I guess. No interesting drops. They do have a poison ability, but nothing else. They are not iconic. The first totally boring and useless mob so far. But here's why I still put them at B. For the same reason why zones like Ashara or Deadwind Pass are cool. Because they just are. There isn't much going on for them. They just exist, you know? Not for your questing convenience. I think that is immersive and cool. The fact that they just are. I always thought for an open world to feel real and alive, it must have places and NPCs and objects that just exist. No quests, nothing for you to gain. It's just a part of the world that exists beyond the player character. I think that's cool. And I think that's something a lot of modern MMOs forgot. B tier. And for their higher level cousins, the mine spiders, I will give them A tier. Same deal, but they look cooler and they are not even seen by all players. There is no reason for you to even see them. For the forest spiders, you will see them at some point, it's inevitable. The cave spiders though are in a cave, I know, kind of weird, and there is no point for you to go there. Yes, there is a quest asking you to enter the cave, but you don't need to go all the way in. So I am sure that some people simply never saw them. I am sure that even among you, there are a lot of people that don't know that there is a rare spawning in that cave. A giant green spider called Mother Fang. Whenever I go there, she is always present because no one ever goes there to kill her. Then you have the Defias Cutpurse, the lowest level Defias outside of Northshire Abbey. I think they are decent. They roam around and are even involved in some scripted events. They also sometimes kill level 1 bank characters that run directly from Northshire to Stormwind through the forest. B tier. Then we have the Defias Bandit. They are just boring. They have a stun ability that I don't like and are quite generic. They also cheat or something because how the hell do we have shoulder pads at level 8? C tier. And the last Defias is the Defias Rogue Wizard, the first spellcasting NPC you will encounter. That's cool, I guess. It's also cool how they are always surrounded by Defias bandits, so they just slow down unaware players with their frost bolts and the bandits stun and kill them. That is always fun to see. But still, it would feel weird to put them in B tier with the others, so C tier it is. Okay, let's talk about the Murlocs next, my favorites. I will put the basic Murloc, the Murloc Streamrunner and the Murloc Lurker in S tier. I love Murlocs. I actually have a video idea planned where I talk about why Murlocs are so awesome, not just from a visual design but also from a game design point of view and even a lore point of view. The Murloc RPG game is also my first contact I ever had with the World of Warcraft. You know how iconic they are, probably the most iconic mob to ever come out of World of Warcraft. I don't want to spoil more of it since I want to make that separate video at some point about them, but I just love them. S tier. That being said, I will not put the Murloc Forager there because it's the one that heals. And if you are not a rogue or a paladin at this level, you have no way to interrupt it, and that makes them quite annoying to fight. But they are still Murlocs, so I will still give them a B tier ranking. Before we get to the Gnolls, there is one more animal left, and that is the young forest bear. Again, nothing interesting, quite boring. I also don't like how tanky they are, and you also cannot ever find enough of them when you have the kill quest if you don't go around roaming and searching. I'll put them in D tier. I really don't like them. To be fair, I don't like fighting bears in general in this game. And lastly, we have the Gnolls, the River Paw tribe. If I was talking about Hogger, straight up S tier. The single most iconic mob in the history of the game. But I am not. I am talking about his inferiors, the Runt and the Outrunners. And they are still going into S tier. They have no interesting abilities. They have social aggro, and that is quite annoying. They look cool, but not that cool. They also don't drop anything interesting beyond the super small chance for the gold pickup schedule quest starting item. Actually, that quest is quite cool, it reveals some cool lore details, but that is not why these are in S tier. The reason is that they created, at least for me, and I would assume for many of you as well, the first cool heartwarming moment in an MMO. You pull too many, and you are close to dying, maybe you even aggro the mighty Hogger before you realize he's an elite, but the place is full of players, because everyone needs to grind there, and right before you die, some dude shields you and another one charges into Hogger just enough to slow him down before you all get away. Then you say thank you to them for helping you and realize you cannot do this alone, and you form the first party group you ever been a part of and deal with that threat together. I don't know about anyone personally, but I am sure there are a few lifelong friendships, maybe even entire families, that started because of this exact moment I describe. I think that makes them deserving of S tier. Anyway, that was the video. Quick short one. I didn't really have a script for this one, so it was a bit weird the first time I did this. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I will make more of these, they are just fun and super simple to do, so why not? I wanted to say that my next video is a lore walkthrough of the game. I basically go super slow, play the game while we discuss the lore of everything we see. NPCs, objects, zones, mobs, whatever. I think it's gonna be pretty cool, so if you are interested, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Until next time, peace.